Well, here I am again. I've got a little bit of an issue with the old. Oh, don't mind the door. That's okay. Yeah, I got to get some rocker panel stuff done. So thought I would take this 50-degree day in November to maybe start getting some templates put together. Let's see if we can do that. Yeah. Well, you guessed it. My favorite template material, the old Brain Flakes box. Let's use this. Let's be smart about it. Let's use that fold down there for the bottom pinch. And bring that to this edge right here. I'll figure something out probably. All right, let's go. Go right here. Yeah. Maybe. Well, let's just do this. Yeah, definitely more than I need. Now, I may have to do some. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some shrinking up there. I wish I had a shrinker stretcher. It's not in the budget right now, I don't think. There's not much about any of my repairs that have been OEM. So I'm certainly not going to start that now. So if you're watching this and that's your concern, then you may very well be in the wrong place. I'll mark it a little bit away from the template here and out here and bring it back so they get that triangle, that wedge here to, since that's going to be curved back, I'll add about an extra 3/4 of an inch there. All right. I can always hit a little more if I need to. Yeah, I need a little more. Okay, put a little more on it. Actually, probably a lot more on it. Oh yeah, yeah, that's good. That's real good. Now I'm gonna need to. Well, that's got some upsweep to it too. Yeah, I really do need a shrinker stretcher. Yeah, now I gotta bend it this way and this way. The old compound curves, not gonna be easy to do. But I'll figure something out. Probably, yep. Well, that actually worked out pretty well. So if I put that on there, line that up down there, that we're following really well back here. So now I got to figure out how I'm going to get this bent around. So I believe what I will do is clamp this down on the pinch down here. That doesn't look bad. And actually I have more than enough up here. I may have to trim that. I could actually just put a self-tapper here and just do a cut and butt, probably. Now I've anchored this down here on both flat sections, and I've got that bulge that needs to be flat. Like this whole section here is supposed to be flat. So now that I have that clamped and this can't go anywhere, I think I should be able to hit the bulge and shrink that. So I'm gonna give that an attempt. Now I'm hoping I didn't just lose some of this curve may have. I don't know, hard to tell. It definitely flattened that out. It gave me that nice and flat there. Yeah, I lost some of it. So this still fits down here the way it's supposed to, and then down here at the pinch. And yeah, that by flattening this out, that it did not hold its shape there. I'm gonna try this one last thing here. So I have this clamped down to the old table saw. I have this part hanging off the edge, and I took a piece. I got a piece of sassafras actually from a guitar build. I've got it wedged in underneath, so this part holds its position. Okay, and maybe give me a little twist. That may have done it. I don't know. Let's go take a look. All right, I'm pretty much back where I was before in terms of how this fits up in here. But now that's flat. So I guess I did at least accomplish a little bit of something. Well, here I am 5 months later. It's April. It was November last I was working on this. Well, here's what the deal is. I marked out here a little area that has to be recessed up in where the fender bolt, the rear fender bolt lower, goes in. There's actually a square hole here. I'm gonna have to recreate that in this part here. The other thing is, it's a little big here. I need to take some shrink right there. This outer area. When it's tight there and it's tight up in the corner here, it's still sticking out here. So I need to do some shrinking. And I happen to have a shrinker stretcher that I picked up from the old Harbor Freight, the old HF with the inside track club deal. So I think I'm gonna try that out on this edge to see if I can't suck that in tighter here. I haven't even unboxed it yet, let alone made a stand to mount them on. So that'll have to happen soon too. Now I may have to put some more bend this way in it after, although that should have already done that. Well, hey, let's see if it did anything. I think that might be a smaller gap. Have to do a little more. I need to fix that corner, make that a little tighter. Well, it's definitely closer, way closer up in this area. Still got a little bit of a bulge out here. Well, there you have it. I think that's pretty good. Once that's held in tight in the back here. All right, so here's where I am now. I cut along the pinch weld area here. Used a pair of lineman pliers to pull there to get a little bend. So I did all that, but now I got to close it all in. Taking this piece here and kind of trimmed off some so that it could sit flush on the pinch weld lip here and go up into that area. So that will close up the backside. I will weld that and hopefully get good enough penetration from the backside that I won't have to, I won't weld it from the front. I'll just keep it hot enough that I can hopefully have pretty good penetration inside the edge here. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. I didn't actually weld on this side. That's my burn through. Got some penetration from the backside. Now I've got to measure over, figure out where exactly I'm putting the opening for the fender bolt. All right, so the back of this panel to the back of the opening is right around what I have my caliper set at right here. So I'm gonna make a mark there. The back of now goes forward 3/4 from here. So it's just under a 1/2 inch from, oh boy. Maybe I don't have this as flat as I need it to be. It's gonna be up to about here. And it's a 1/2 inch out from there. So I was kind of worried about that. I was worried that I hadn't brought the bend up far enough this way and over. So I'm gonna have to knock this flat. All right, so I've marked it out now. You can probably see by the reflection here. So I've got a fairly harder bend than I had before, which I should have done before I even got ready to weld it. I just wasn't thinking. So I just sat it on the table saw basically as a dolly, really, so that the flat was sitting on the edge, and then just kind of kept hammering away at this edge to flatten that out. Of course, it kept wanting to bend this edge here, so I kept having to get it kind of bent back into a sweep. But that gives me a little bit flatter of a section here, be able to put my hole between the cold chisel and cutoff wheel to kind of get the sides going, and a couple of files. I think that'll do. After some continued file work, open it up a little further, I dug out the old lower fender mounting nut. Let's see, let me put it in right. So it goes in like that, and then boom, it's ready to rock and roll. How about that? A little thin here. I guess you could call it thin here. Non-existent, possibly. So now I got to decide, what are we going to do in here? And then I probably should look behind here to see how bad that is before I close any of this in. But, I mean, I think it's going to end up fitting okay. Oh boy. Well, I didn't even really cut much, just trimmed a little here because there were just a couple of booger welds, a couple here, bondoed over, a couple here, and the whole thing just pulled right down. I mean, it's not even attached. It's not even attached on the bottom of the rocker. So, I mean, I guess I can pull that, that probably will. Oh yeah. Oh, how about that? So there's the patch. I mean, I understand why they put a patch in, but maybe, well, yeah. I can't say anything because, when I was a teenager and maybe even into my 20s, I probably did some equally horrible things. There's no probably about it. Between fiberglass mat and resin, and yeah, I did some things. Well, that's I'm gonna have to see if I can get shop vac wand back in there as far as I can. Oh boy. Oh, can I get a focus? Can I get you to focus? Maybe. Oh, there we go. That's a cavern. Well, hey, that looks good up there. So, maybe all is not lost. The inner actually doesn't look that bad back there further. So maybe, yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully you're looking sideways right now. I don't know what you're doing. Turning you on your side. Well, I got some work to do. It's always something, ain't it? So I took, again, my favorite template material, Bran Flakes box, and I put it flush against the pinch weld down here, and then brought it up around to about the right, height I was going to need it. I marked the corner up here on my template here, so I knew to go over far enough and to hit to this corner right there. I marked that. Then I went over to the other side, put this on this way, curved around, and was able to see where it was following this door line that comes down from the door and curves down to the pinch weld down here. Because I don't know where that is because it's not there anymore. So I have this. When I put it up there like this on the pinch and bring it up around, and I look at it from the side, it seems to follow pretty well with the edge of the door. So, and I think I'm going to have to then make this piece as a separate piece that I'll weld onto this, that I can weld into here. There's also an inner structure behind this. There's an inner structure that's kind of gone. So once I clear all of this out, I may have some more inner sill to repair. Yeah, besides this, just this area. So it's going to get worse before it gets better. I guess I kind of knew that. Because see, I butted this edge, bottom edge of the template, to the front of where the pinch is. So I need to leave a bit here. Leave plenty there that I can trim. I'd rather have too much than too little. So this then will be bent at a 90-ish. Then there's actually a little flat section that's kind of a curve, which I need to mark out where that would be. Because it comes up from the pinch and then kind of flat and then curves around. So I've got to mark out where that is. Well, some of you may have just been hollering at the screen. I was supposed to keep that. That was my, oh boy. Well, okay, let's try it again. So now I'm going to move that up further. And remember, I'm not going to cut this bottom line, crying out loud. All right, so I went out in the rain, shoved this all the way to the pinch weld, and made a couple marks where, so kind of between those is where the curve of that bend is. So I'm going to transfer that here, mark that all the way down, and hopefully be able to put that on the old table saw here, and by hand I'll just kind of get that bend started. Then I can work on the curve for the rest of it. So after some finagling, that actually doesn't look terrible. I think by the time I cut out the old, slide that up into place, that's going to be pretty darn close. So, progress. Just working it with some hand stuff. So, yeah, I'm happy with that. So I did take this piece of hard maple that I think was in one of the time lapses, and I just rounded over this corner here so I could do the initial break here. And my line wasn't quite in the right place. I started to bend it there, and then I ended up having to lay this back on top of that piece of maple right there, and then do some hammer work further up away from the line to get that bend to start a little earlier. And I think that's pretty darn close. So, I mean, it's good enough for me. Well, the deconstruction has continued. So I've cut out enough to get this fitting rather well. This, I'm assuming, is an additional A-pillar, support coming down. That was actually in the pinch. So this So you got the inner sill, the additional support coming down from the door and the A-pillar here that came down. And then, of course, the outer rocker. And that was all pinched together here. So this actually, the inner looks not bad here. I did some more cleaning up. That's not good. So I'm going to have to cut out some material and replace that. I'm going to have to make this little piece here that can go down behind the outer rocker. This section here seems intact enough that I'm just gonna keep that. That's kind of holding the whole thing together still. I was hoping it was gonna be a little simpler than this, but it just isn't. So got my cereal box back out, made myself a little bit of a template here, and so on and so forth. And then cut me a little piece of steel here. So I marked it where my 90 will be down at the bottom. That's going to go on the inside sill. And then I'll have to cut that little corner out of the side. And then this is going to get a 90, which is actually that 90 right there. Then I might use the old shrinker stretcher, the old shrinker on this lip here once I bend that over, which should give me that little bit of a bend, a little bit of a curve that I got going on right there. So I made that little piece there. Yeah, I said that I was going to make a 90 at the bottom, but that doesn't have to be a 90 because it has to come off at about a 45 or so and then curve up this way. So now, and then I put this in. Well, I cut the little corner out there. Then I put this in the vise, just bent it over and hammered it. So got a decent bend here. So now I'm going to put this in the old, I'm going to have to move that out some. That won't retch. All right, let's try it. I'll be darned. Well, this thing is nice. This might be enough right there. So, gives me a nice little more, and I'll go check it. Now I'll just have to bend the curve in on this side, but that might be enough. Look, we'll check. I'm gonna go just a tiny bit more. It's amazing how it doesn't take much. All right, I think that'll do it. And a little bit at the very, very top. Okay. All right, now I got to get some bend in the rest of this. Well, that actually fits really, really well. So, one more piece of the puzzle down. This is getting ridiculous. It's got to be over soon. No, it doesn't. After doing a little more looking, instead of replacing this whole piece right here, I just kind of went after the area that's the worst, which is right where it meets the front of the toe board there. So that's probably why there's such an issue here. I mean, yeah, that's fairly scaly here, but it's also pretty thick. So I went and got some more 16 gauge because I was out of it. So I will cut that out, flop that in. So once I cleared that out, I saw the new toe board over the old, I don't even know. How old was this? There it was. And that was all destroyed. So, and this whole area is just a disaster. So, edge of old floorboard, new floorboards, not even close. Got a finger in there. Toe board, I don't know if that's a new old. I don't know what that was original. I think that was original. But then there's another piece behind it. So we've got floor with firewall coming down and overlapped here. And then we got the new floorboard up here, about an inch above. So, I mean, we've got a lot of really, really solid sheet metal work here. So I got to reconstruct the flange here on the edge of the toe board. So I got to do that, put something back up in there, like so. Then I can put, oh, maybe I can show you in the picture. Then I can put this piece in. Then I can rust treat. Then I could actually maybe do something. I took a piece of cutout, laid it on the old, Grandflex box. Hey, heart healthy. Laid it on there, curved it up in there, kind of made some marks around where I thought it would probably be. Rolled that this way, made some marks. Got a little piece here, did my 90, and then realized ain't no way the stretcher was going to be able to do that. So I just made some pie cuts and started bending it. Now I got to go weld that all up and hopefully get it fitting in that area. What a pain. Well, it ain't pretty, but I used my little offcut here to fill in the gaps. I'll just grind all that smooth and that should do the trick. We'll have this done, and that fits right up in here. So that's going to get welded in. And of course, the old floor and the new floor and the old toe board and the new toe board, none of that actually connects in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know what I'm going to do eventually with that, but hey, right now I do know that that fits. That's going to get welded in right there. Oh, I did get the old Permatex. I got a little container of the Permatex rust converter that seems to work fairly well. And then I sprayed just some Rust-Oleum, whatever it's called, high professional, whatever, black on top of that, just to get some stuff sealed up. Now I'm going to have to go back and knock off everything from the edges so I can get some decent weld. I'm sure somebody will poo-poo this, but so I painted the back side. So I got this one ready. I punched some holes in it with my spot weld hole puncher, whatever the heck it's called. And then because I already used my rust treatment and painted in this area, once I clamp this on, I clean out my spot weld areas with either a pick or in this case I'm just using a little flathead screwdriver here to clean off in there to get me some metal. So I don't use weld through primer. And again, I'm sure somebody's going to poo-poo about this, but I don't really care. This is what I do, and yeah, all this stuff's going to get burned off anyway. I mean, when I was welding this in earlier, it was just, I mean, it was bubbling out so far that it just, yeah, even weld through primer, you're going to melt the dang stuff right off of it. So I believe I am good to go here. It's lined up It's lined up pretty nicely. This one is about as good as it's going to get. I've got a bit of a gap right there. Well, pretty much everywhere. So I'll be able to pull that out to get that flush here. I'll be able to get that flush up in the corner. Be able to push that. I'm going to push that up first to get that tight here. It's sticking out proud there. I ended up, this whole section that was left, I was prying around on it and it actually popped loose from the inner sill. So I'm going to have to, I used my spot weld cutter to cut a hole through both of those layers, because that's the outer rocker and this inner support, the original inner support on that side, that were both pinch welded to the inner rocker. So I'm going to have to secure that, because this is being welded to that piece as I go up like this. So I got to get that in there, weld all this up. And I did a little more filing on this to make sure that my fender mount nut fits in there nicely. So now it's just a matter of getting that all welded up. Then I will probably have to grab a fender, put a fender on, because this edge right here of this piece, that needs to run along the back side of the fender and needs to follow that sweeping line down. Well, as you saw, I just threw the fender on. Now I gotta see how this is looking. It could be better. So that gap, the door gap, I mean, that's a little bit of a problem. Can I put you down here? I don't know if you're going to be seeing what I'm seeing, because I don't know what you're seeing. But I'm going to try this. I crawled down under here before I grabbed the camera, and I'll be darned if that's not lined up. And again, I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but that sucker is actually lined up. I can't believe it. Oh boy. So now, let's see if I can slide this bad boy in here. Come on now. Slide this bad boy in here. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Now, I think I can probably put this in there like so. And probably, I can grab my impact driver. I think I can move this around to get it where I want it, and then tighten it down. Like maybe like maybe that. Got a hole? Yeah, let's do some patching on these. Okay, I don't know if you saw that, but yeah, that bolted right up. Now, okay, well, that gap's terrible. Oh, it's telling me there's something on my lens. That gap's terrible. So that, I mean, that's all. Oh boy. Yeah, that's all going to have to be worked on. But that's close, at least. Pretty darn close for who it's for. Good enough. So I'm going to trim that back some. Then, now hold on. Let me make some marks here. That way I know where I had the dang thing while it was up here and in place. All right, so I did some trimming here. It was a little, the gap was a little too small at the bottom, so I cut mostly stuff off the bottom, but made it fairly consistent there. I can't tell you how glad I am that that little recess I made for that bolt fits perfectly. Okay, let's get you out of here. Come on now. I'm gonna have to make that little piece for that hole there. So I'm gonna have to make a little template, get a little cardboard, make a little template, you know, little brand flex box. You know how I roll. All right, so I have a piece cut and kind of up in there. I'm gonna see if I can't weld it along this side, work it up in here, and then I've got all my pie cuts down here so it can kind of, yeah, this is gonna be, so I'm gonna weld this actually to this panel. Oh, this is far from pretty and far from perfect, but I've got it secured. Cut me some pie cuts in there so I could, yeah, have some room. Went ahead and attached it to this. Now I went ahead and painted the back of this, painted the inside, painted the inside, painted the back of this, and I'll start welding her on. Well, that was not pretty. Kept fighting the batteries in my dang helmet. They were dead, replaced them. They still weren't working. Replaced them again. Oh my gosh. So, I mean, yeah, it's not pretty. I mean, this panel probably welded up nicest. And then, whew, that little patch right there. I mean, obviously I got to do some grinding on all that, but man, it's just ugly. I'm hoping that I have enough built up here of weld that I can grind that down nicely and it will, you know, match with the door body line and the back of the fender coming down. So I'll have to check on that. But I mean, all my plug welds are all in and good. At least I think I hit everything. I think I got good enough penetration everywhere. So I am going to knock all this down, especially obviously here in the places you can see. I mean, back behind the fender. I mean, yeah, I'll smooth some stuff out, but I'm not all that concerned about it. It's mainly here and that body line, and then cleaning up the rocker itself. But hey, that only took since middle of November, and now it is beginning of June. So, hey, it's finally done. 6 little patch panels later. I'm using the old flap disc to knock the welds down, at least closer. But I do need to get that better, and then this line needs to be smoothed out pretty nicely. So I need to work on that, and I'll use the sanding disc for that. I'm pretty happy with that. I am gonna grab the welder. And I've got one spot right there that I think is a pinhole, and 2 spots right here that I think are pinholes. But I mean, everything else, I'm pretty happy with how solid it is. Now, I didn't take it all the way down. It's not flush here. There's a lip even on both. And I don't really care. I mean, there's going to be a skim coat over this anyway. And I had to transition back into what they had done, filler, to cover up their mangled patch that they had. Fender's back on. And it's not perfect, but I mean, nobody's going to be sitting on the ground down here looking at it. So it does, I mean, it should have swept back a little bit more here, but I don't care enough to do anything about it. So besides that, I don't know how and where exactly this thing's even going to fit. And if I need to do some tweaking on the fender edge, I can do that too. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how that has come out. I even got the took a cold chisel yesterday, and cut a slot so I could get my drain hole. Used a 3/4 inch piece of round stock and pounded that down to get a drain hole just like it was stock. Yeah, and I think this is good enough to get body worked. I think I'm just going to spray some black enamel on it for now. Of course, I'll strip all that off when I do the actual body work, but for now I'm just gonna keep it from rusting. I mean, I could have ordered those panels, but what would have been the fun in that? So try it. Get yourself some sheet metal and see if you can make it happen. It can't be worse than mine. There will definitely be more. Take 6 to 8 months in the making, but checking one more little project off the list. Thanks for coming by. We'll see you later.